Greetings, everybody in YouTube. This may be my last one of these for a while, just because I'm getting a little knifed out for now. I've got what I need, and I can't think of anything else that I really want. So, two quick things. Been going back and forth on the different Swiss Army knives and stuff. And as much as I got the blade reprofiled on that. What was the one? The locksmith. It's still just a little awkward and bulky because it's wide and stuff like that. So I ended up giving my RangerGrip 79, which had the corkscrew, to a buddy of mine, and then I went and picked up the RangerGrip 78. So basically the same one. Go over the reasons why I like it real quick, and then I'm going to reprofile the point, which brings me to another point. One of the complaints I've had about the Swiss Army knives is that their points just are not stabby. They're not good for piercing hard packages, plastic, things like that. You got to put a lot of, it's like a safety blade. And that's not why I bought a knife. I need a knife for cutting, piercing, tasks. It could be a tool, it could be a weapon, it could be anything I need it to be. And so I need the blade and the mechanics of it to reflect that. So I went down, and if you're going to do this, do it very carefully. I've got a belt sander, and so I just basically went and just reprofiled the tip. I didn't go with the clip point the way that they did, and I wish I'd thought to do this on my own before handing it to someone else who kind of did their vision of it, because I think I like this look better. It looks like your typical blade profile. Nice spear point. It just, instead of being rounded, it comes to now an actually nice stabby tip. So let's see if I can zoom in on that a little better. Come on. Can we? Come on, dude. Zoom. Well, in any case, all I did was, and when you do this, have a glass of cold water. Don't push on it and grind, because you want to be very careful. You see people on Forged in Fire grinding and hacking away, hogging off metal and stuff. And that's fine before you harden and heat treat and temper it. It doesn't matter if you heat it up and it turns brown or even blue, because you're going to go and heat treat it anyway. Once it's been heat treated, you need to be very careful. You don't want to take the temper out of it, because you're going to create a soft point. So just do a little bit at a time, dip it in the water. Don't put a lot of pressure, because it doesn't take much. I did not have to remove that much material. We're talking 1/2 millimeter, and I just put it on the belt sander and just kind of did that. Nice little movement like that. Dip it in the water, another couple quick passes, and just got it down to where it is a nice point. And then what I did was, just to smooth it, take any burrs, I took the super fine, I think is that ultra fine, 1000 ultra fine, put a couple drops of honing oil, and then I just basically used this to make sure that there was no gouges, no imperfections. I mean, unless you really got in there and you knew what you were looking for, you wouldn't even know that was reprofiled. There's no burrs, there's no weird edges. It feels like it came that way. And if I really wanted to, I could probably sit there for a while on a strop. If I had a polishing wheel, I could polish that to the same, and you would have no way of knowing. Right there's a slight difference. If you get it at the right angle and catch the light, you can see that the reflectiveness is different. But, I mean, just looking at the knife like this and using it, you'd never know. So if I had a polishing wheel, I could put it on there for 25 seconds, and that would look like it came from the factory. And that, frankly, I think is how Swiss Army knives should come from the factory. So, any case, that's my Adventurer. That is a much more useful knife, although it still lacks in the one-handed performance, which is what I wanted. So I had the RangerGrip 50, or sorry, I keep saying 50, the 79, which had the corkscrew. Now I've got the 78, which has the whatchamacallit on it, the Phillips screwdriver. I know some people like these key rings. I don't. It just gets in the way. In fact, I wish it didn't have that nub in there, because on this one, that digs right into my hand when I use it. It's stupid. I don't need a keychain for a pocket knife. I know that's just the Swiss Army style. Don't know why. I guess if you're going to put it on a lanyard or something, that's fine. This goes into trash or the floor or whatever. I just dropped it. I'll find that later. Anyway, one hand opening, nice sharp blade. All I need to do is just reprofile that tip, which I will do momentarily. Locking. So I've got the button right there, which closes much easier than this, or the locksmith, which has a traditional liner lock, but it goes in the opposite direction. So you got to put a lot of pressure this way and then try to push it with the other hand without it snapping on your finger. Luckily, this has the halfway stop. The one-handed opening one doesn't, so you do have to be careful not to close it on your finger. This one, you push the button, your hand's out of the way, it moves that liner lock right there. And so this is a much superior design. This is the older Wenger style knife. This is from Delamont, so this is kind of the company that they bought out. What else we got? Let's see, let's close that. We've got our wire stripper, we have our flathead screwdriver and bottle opener. This has the groove, if you can see that right under that lip, so that when you're using this, when you push in, you can't hear the click, but it moves about 1 millimeter and it locks that in. So as long as you're putting pressure on that, you don't have to worry about that thing slamming shut on your hand. This side, we've got the traditional can opener. We have our tweezers, and we have our toothpick. On the back, we have the tool that I needed, which was the Phillips screwdriver. And then we've got the awl, which for some reason, that pulls out pretty easy. I'm not busting what little thumbnail I have to get that out. That's cool. That I wasn't expecting. I was expecting to tear my thumbnail off trying to open the damn thing. Oh, and a really nice saw. So good set of tools. It's a little bigger, but man, in the hand. And what I also like is you do have the thumb ramp here and you do have some jimping. So this is a good working blade, not too much flex. I think this is going to have to be the one. For the times that I'm carrying a Swiss Army knife, I mean, what's in my pocket? Pocket check, Benchmade Freak, M4 steel, love this knife. But while it isn't as cool to open, just for a size comparison, you know, and that's why I kind of came back to this. You know, I preferred the size that was more like this, but one-handed opening. But you know what? It doesn't work as well as a one-hand opening. In order to get the one-hand opening with the blade style I wanted, I had to go to a 4-layer, which then made it really bulky. And you can open it fairly decently once I figured out how I specifically had to have my hand in just the right position. This one's just a lot more forgiving. And at the end of the day, yeah, it's a big knife in the pocket. But I mean, it's not like this is a skinny mini here, right? I mean, this is a pretty good sized knife, and I carry that with no problem. So it doesn't have the pocket clip, which is the only thing that would be on my wish list, but it has everything else. It's got the tool set. It's got a great ergonomic grip. There are no hot spots. That isn't digging into my hand. It has the tools I need, has one-hand opening, decent liner lock with for this type of knife, a more innovative way of doing it than this one, which is, unless you're really careful, and at some point you're going to cut your thumb. So you basically have to use two hands. If you don't mind using two hands, it's fine. This is probably the knife to carry. If you don't need one-hand opening, but you want to lock, and you don't mind two-handed closing, then having something like this that's got your basic nice blade with a reprofiled tip, you've got your standard tools, you got your, whatchamacallit, you know, your toothpick and tweezers and stuff like that. You got your Phillips screwdriver and all, and it's only 2 layers, so this really sits well in the pocket. This is probably a great carry. This is probably a perfect Swiss Army knife. It's not the little tiny ones that are really kind of awkward to hold. I mean, you can get basically a full hand on it. You got a locking blade, and now you have a piercing blade. It's just not rapid deployment or an easy one-handed closing, whereas this is. You can do that and never get your thumbs in the way because you're never having to push across while putting pressure on the knife to get the thing out of the way and then close it. Your button's off here, close, boom. That's the knife for me. As far as Swiss Army knives go, that's what we're going with. So we give that a try. I'm gonna go down right now, and yeah, see that tip is very blunt compared to that. That now hurts when I do that. That's sharp. So I'm gonna go down and just hit that real quick and polish that up, and we will be in business. So try to keep it under 10 minutes, but my search for what's going to be for me the perfect everyday carry Swiss Army knife, you know, anything life is likely to throw against you. If you had to throw it in a bug out bag, or you're out in the woods somewhere, you needed some basic tools, your bike broke down, I need a screwdriver, I need a flathead, I crashed, I've got the bike stuck in some brush and I've got to cut some branches and brush to get my bike out of a ditch, I got a saw. I mean, the most common things I'm probably going to need are all right there. So that's what we're going with. RangerGrip 79. You can get these shipped to your house. I ordered it yesterday, 1-day shipping from Amazon Prime for $50. So there you have it. And definitely reprofile these tips. If you got any other Swiss Army knives, you could even do this. If you don't have a belt sander, I started doing this by hand and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I got a belt sander. So I grabbed my other, I don't have them here. I'm not going to get up. I had the other ones that were the diamond, extra coarse, medium, fine. Then I've got the super fine, non-diamond. You could just sit here and you could use those and and you could reprofile it by hand. It might take you 10 minutes of sitting there with the grunt, with the extra coarse, and then you're working your way up to this super high polished one. But you could do it that way. Or you could take 45 seconds and zip on the belt sander. Again, being very careful not to overheat the blade. I cannot stress that enough. When you get down to that fine tip, it would be very easy to get that tip hot. If you see that turning brown or blue, you've ruined the tip. You're going to have to reprofile the whole thing without overheating it again, which means you're going to have to take off some of that edge to get past the soft material back to the hard material. So if you're going to do this, do it right. Pay attention, go slow, slight pressure, dip it in the water, and you should be okay. But there you have it, RangerGrip 78. I've looked far and wide, read a lot, and this is the one I'm going with. I was almost sure with the one I had, but it didn't have a Phillips, and I'm never opening bottles of wine. I'm needing a screwdriver all the time. So I figured, hey, my buddy needed a pocket knife. I just gave it to him, and now I got this one. So RangerGrip 78, give him a look.